afternoon, or whatever time it is wherever you are. I'm so excited to finally be getting another video up to you guys. It's been too long. I have been very busy, but I am so excited to finally be coming to you guys with some good news. I will get to that in a little bit. Firstly, I would like to quickly talk about what I am working on in this video. So what I did was I ordered some handmade watercolors on Etsy, and I'll have a link in the description from the shop I ordered them from. And I'm just testing them out in this old sketchbook that I actually got in 2014. And at that time, I only used 1.5 pages of it. And I'll actually show you guys those pages later on so you can enjoy what I found in them. I took them out though, and I'm testing out these watercolors, and my plan is to just fill this sketchbook with these watercolors and see how it goes from there. I liked the watercolors a lot. I'm not sure though now if they will last me the entire sketchbook or not, but I'm excited to be at least having a goal in mind and a project to be working on. So now that I've kind of explained this a little bit, I would like to be talking to you guys briefly about some other things. I did a sketch in an old sketchbook I have. So the colors I got were Maeson blue, ivory black, burnt umber, Mayan red, Mars orange, and indigo extract. They also provided me with a free color, which I was not expecting, and I was so happy to get, which is called hematite. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not actually sure. And then they all came together in this little tin, which I love. I'm a little bit sad because I don't have a mixing palette, so I ended up going and getting an egg crate, which you'll see eventually, and mixing my colors in that. I'm so happy to be back with you guys talking on YouTube again. I really missed it. I just haven't had the time these past few months, and that's kind of what I want to talk about briefly, is that is all about to change. So I graduated in May, and I kind of stopped uploading videos around that time. There have been a few here and there, but nothing really planned out. They've been spontaneous, and I like spontaneous, but I really wanted to plan out and work out some longer videos, kind of like this one. Even though this is much more spontaneous, it has a goal in mind, and it's made for a reason. I am now coming to you guys though right at the end of June. I took a job, a full-time job, unrelated to art, just to pay the bills, and I wasn't happy at it, but I was getting paid, and honestly, it's kind of what I needed right then, and I was getting paid well, so it was hard to find the motivation to search for a different job. Anyways, eventually I did though, because I was giving all of my time to it. I was tired. I was coming home and not working on art stuff, or I would work all weekend on art stuff, and unfortunately YouTube got pushed to the back of the list of things I wanted to work on, so it rarely got done. I ended up recording a lot of videos that I just never had the time to edit. As of tomorrow, which is October 28th, it would have been my 4 months at my other job, which I understand is not a long time, but I took a new position. I finally found the time to apply, and I finally heard back from a job. So I am starting a new job tomorrow. I will be doing graphic design work for a shipping company. It's nothing huge, but it's in my field. It's something I want to be doing. It's something I'll enjoy so much more than my old job. And the exciting news is, for the beginning of the job, it will be part-time. I don't know how long that will last, and unfortunately, I do need it to only last a short period of time. But while it does last, my goal is to work on building up my YouTube some more. I have a series of 6 videos coming out really soon. I'm not going to tell you what they're about, but I have already filmed 5 out of the 6 of them, so they will definitely be coming out. I just need to edit them, which I will now have the time to do. Anyways, that was that bit of news. I also want to briefly talk to you guys about the future of my YouTube, and then I decided I was going to answer a few questions. Nothing crazy. I ended up looking up some questions for artists online, and I'm going to answer as many of them as I can get to before the end of this video. But that'll be right after I talk about this YouTube channel. So I've been struggling a lot because I don't know exactly where I'm going with it. I've been using it up to this point to kind of just do whatever videos I want. And part of me is completely okay with that, because why does it need to be anything more than just what I feel in that moment? But I would really like to narrow it down slightly. So I'm here to tell you all that this YouTube channel will be specifically for my art and my reading. I'm going to keep doing both of those kinds of videos. I love doing the vlogs, and I most likely will do some again in the future, but I'm going to try to have them, at least any video I put on here in the next hopefully few months, be related to either reading or books or art creation. I think it would be really fun if I could do this type of video a lot more. My goal would be to do 2 videos a week and have one of them be this type of video, and I think in the beginning that will be reasonable, but I don't know how long I'll be able to stick with that. We'll see. I am going to start answering some of those questions. I pulled them up and I was looking at them, and I picked out a few that I really like, and I am not sure if they're anything you guys would like to hear about, but I thought they'd be a little bit more interesting than me just rambling. Plus, I also realized I really haven't done a get to know me post on here, so this is a way that you guys can hopefully learn a little bit more about who I am. Here we go. The first question I found is, who are you and what do you do? So this is a 2-parter. My name is Amanda Lynn. It's actually my first and middle name, but it's what I've been using for my brand for the past maybe a year, maybe 6 months. I'm not totally sure on how long that's been around. I am an artist. I actually went to art school. I just graduated in May of 2019, so a few months ago. I went to school originally for motion design, also known as motion graphics. So for 3 years, I designed graphics and then I animated them. And after 3 years of doing that, I realized that I didn't like animating. It actually didn't take me 3 years to figure that out. I figured it out after about 6 months, but it took me 3 years to do something about it. And so I made a change, and my senior year, I switched majors, and it was scary and terrifying, but it was absolutely what I needed to do. So I switched majors. I switched to something called visual studies, which at my school was basically like undeclaring your major. I know that's not how you say that, but I refer to it as a DIY major, where I could go in and take whatever classes I needed to, and as long as I met the requirements of a degree at my school, which is a certain number of studios and a certain number of liberal arts, then I would graduate with a bachelor's of arts. I took classes in graphic design and illustration. I absolutely love painting. That is my one super passion. So the next question on the list is, how do you work? So I feel like this video is kind of showing a good representation of how I work. I actually have so many screens up while I'm working. I usually have my laptop up playing something. You can see me every once in a while reach across the screen and do something out of frame, and that's because I'm watching either TV, usually Netflix or YouTube, and I'm either telling it to go to the next episode or I'm pausing it so I can think for a second or something along those lines. So I usually work with something like that going on. I often have audiobooks playing in the background. I didn't at all during this piece because I'm taking a quick break right now on reading, basically a 2-day break, and then I'm going to get right back into it. I try to do this every once in a while. I read constantly, and so it's kind of nice to have a no expectation day, and that's what you're seeing right now. Me painting like this was just happened to be on one of my no expectation days. And so then I usually have reference up on my iPad. I didn't this time because I had the reference in my sketchbook next to me. And then I usually have my phone up, which you can kind of see on the screen right now, with something else going on. Usually I'm responding to emails or text messages, checking Instagram or Pinterest for non-reference reasons, kind of just to keep my mind off of what I'm doing, which I know sounds dumb, but the best thing I can do when working is not think about it. And I don't know if anyone else has that issue, but that, I think, is why I have so much going on when I'm working, is so that I'm just not thinking about it. That's when my best work comes out. I think when I need to think is at the very beginning and the very end of pieces. So when I'm setting up for a piece, when I'm sketching, when I'm concepting, all of that stuff, and when I'm doing the final touches. But when I'm in this middle part right here where everything's kind of been planned out and I just need to do the plan and listen to past me, it really helps not to think. So I have a lot of distractions that I put on around me, and I'm very, very good at not procrastinating and not being distractible. So even though I have all these things going on, at the same time, I am still working, as you can see right here in this video. There's not a lot of time where I'm not doing something. And of course, I did cut out a few minutes in between everything where I am waiting for things to dry and I'll go on my phone for a little bit, or I'm getting a little bit frustrated on something, so I'm taking a few seconds to step back. But generally speaking, this is how I work. So the next question is, what is your background? And I felt like this was slightly different than who am I and what do I do? So I already talked about school. I guess I'll talk a little bit about who I am outside of art. So I'm from Florida. I went to college in Florida, but a different part of Florida. And now I'm back to the original part of Florida that I'm from. I'm from Ocala. It's this small town, smack dab center. We're surrounded by swamps and forests. It's actually quite a lovely place to live, and sometimes I forget that because I live here and I've always lived here, minus college 4 years, but I was home often enough. So I forget that I kind of live in a paradise. I mean, people come here on vacations and want to do that. And I forget that because I'm from here. And it is a small town. it's getting bigger and it's slow. Things close between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. every single night. A lot of places here don't open on Sundays. And so it's hard to be young and living in a town like this where things are not available to me. But at the same time, even if they were, I don't know if I would fully take advantage of them. So I shouldn't complain. But yeah, back to this place being paradise-like. Our lows are usually in the 30s. Sometimes we have gotten lower, like into the teens. It doesn't snow here. It has one time in my life, and by snow, I mean that our air conditioner frost over and the dew on the lawn in the morning was icy. Most years we get into the 40s. We don't even hit the 30s. The 30s are cold winters for us, and I think we're about to have one this year, and I'm super happy because I love the cold. And then our highs are in the 100s, so that is kind of miserable. It can be really, really hot. Most of the time we're in the 90s, but even that is ridiculous because we have humidity, generally speaking, 70% to 90%. Our low humidity days are 40%, and that's not too bad, honestly. When we get to that, I'm like, bless. By the way, if you're confused at all, I am talking in Fahrenheit, so hopefully that helps anyone who is concerned. I live right next to a national forest. I believe I'm about 20 minutes away from the National Forest Park. I live about 30 minutes away from natural hot springs, which are 72 year-round. I live 10 minutes away from crystal clear rivers, which you can kayak and boat on. I've seen manatees there when we've gone out. I've seen monkeys when we go out. I've seen all types of wildlife. Yes, I have seen alligators in person, and no, they are not as scary as people make them out to be. As long as it's not a mom with her babies and you give them their distance, you're perfectly safe. Of course, if they're starving, it's a wild, starving animal, and you should just be smart. But I think you should just be smart with any wild animal that you come across. So no, I'm not afraid of alligators. I'm not afraid of coyotes. I'm not afraid of the weird spiders that we get in our houses or the mosquitoes that bite us, although I do hate mosquitoes. We have brown bears near here, and no, those don't bother me either. You kind of learn growing up near this kind of stuff what to do, and so no, yeah, I live in a nice place, but sometimes I forget that. So, the next question, how has your practice changed over time? Whew. So, I definitely think that my art has changed over time. As you can see earlier, I showed you a piece from 5 years ago, and I'm definitely doing a lot better now than I was then, and that's awesome, because in 5 years I should change. I should change a lot. But anyways, how has it changed? Ooh, I do a lot more prep going in. I do a lot more studies before. I would say 90% of the work I do isn't finished work. It's just practice. And that's kind of my favorite stuff, honestly. I don't even love finishing art pieces. I love the creation of art and the process and that messy look that art gets a lot of times. So I guess that's how it's changed, if that makes sense at all. What art do I most identify with? Oh goodness. So I'm just going to talk about art periods for a quick second. I went to art school, as I mentioned, and so in that time, I got to study a lot of art history, and I became absolutely infatuated with 2 time periods, and then there's a third that gets a close second, love of my life, and then I have an honorable mention. So my absolute 2 favorite loves are Art Deco and Impressionism, or Post-Impressionism, depending on who you're talking to at the time. I love them so much, and I would have to do a whole entire another video about them because I could talk about them for ages. I had a single class on Art Deco that was 16 weeks, 3 hours a week, where all I learned about was Art Deco. And actually I had the same about Impressionism and Post-Impressionism. And both of those were absolutely amazing classes. My next one that I'd like to talk about is Art Nouveau. I didn't have a class on that actually, but we mentioned it in my Art Deco class, and I think it influences me a lot. And then my honorable mention at the end is Postmodernism. I think it's absolutely one of the most gorgeous art styles I've ever seen. I did learn a lot about postmodernism, but not as much as the other ones. So, next question. Ooh, there's a lot of good ones on here, and I see I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip down a little bit and talk about some of those instead. So, one of the questions I see is, what do you dislike or like about your art? And instead of mentioning the likes and dislikes, I think that could be a whole entire video on its own too. I'm going to say that I like and dislike all of my art. It is how it is with artists. But one of the things I've been doing recently, which has really helped me grow, and this is what I'd rather talk about than answer that question, is at the end of every piece, I write down 3 likes and 3 dislikes. And sometimes it's really hard to think of 3, and sometimes I can think of way more than 3. But really what it comes down to is growth. Taking those 3 pieces and not just writing down like, oh, I like the color blue. Writing, I like how I used contrasting colors in this piece to bring life to it where it needed. And then also the dislikes being something like, I dislike that some of the lines are sloppy and I want to take my time and go slower on line work. And so taking both the good and the bad and using it in future pieces to make something better. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about, is that. And honestly, I could talk about that for a whole other video too. And maybe I will one day because it's so important. So, something else to talk about. What is... I'm sorry, I'm trying to read the next question. Wow, okay. I think I'm going to have to have one more question and then I'm going to have to wrap this up. So, here's a good one. What job have I done besides being an artist? So, I haven't done too many jobs. I mentioned earlier that I had a job that was unart related, and that is true. I've had a few at this point. So let me quickly, I'm going to start at the end and work my way back to the beginning because I think that'll be easiest. So I just worked for 4 months as a service associate intake specialist for an equine insurance company. So that meant I basically put information into a computer for people who were buying horse insurance. It's a really fancy way to say I did the job that a computer could have done. Anyways, before that, I was an RA at my college for 3 years, and I really, really loved that job. I made a lot of lifelong friends from it, and I could see the skills I learned from it helping me for the rest of my life and everything else. I did that for 3 years, and I worked that for 2 of my summers. One of my other summers, I was a camp counselor, and that job was difficult. I guess I should just leave it at that because I don't want to insult anyone. There were parts I liked, but the majority of it I did not like, and it's because I was both a teacher and a counselor, so I worked 24/7 for 8 weeks. And when I say 24/7, I mean I worked 24/7. I got 8 days off in 8 weeks. And other than that, no time off. And then before that, I did work at a gallery, an art gallery, where I basically just made sure no one touched the art. that was a cool job. I did that my freshman year of college. I think I worked like 3 to 5 hours a week, so it was nothing. It was just helping me bring in a little bit of money. And before that, I worked at retail at Bath and Body Works in my hometown. I only did that on breaks, so like winter break, spring break, summer vacation, when I wasn't doing the RA stuff. So it was not my dream. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I would like to really quickly wrap this up with some recommendations that I have for you guys. So, what am I currently doing with my life? Would be a better explanation. So, I'd really like to involve this kind of thing at the end of my videos more often. So, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that basically in my videos like this sketch and chat one, I'd like to have a section either at the beginning or the end where I just kind of tell you guys what I'm currently listening to, what I'm currently watching, and what I'm currently reading. So here we go. I am currently reading 3 books. I will recommend one of them right now, and hopefully I will still be reading the other 2 when I do another one of these videos and I can tell you about it. So I'm currently reading The Burning White by Brent. Absolutely love him, love his book series, and totally recommend either of his series if you like high fantasy. I am currently watching Living with Yourself on Netflix. Don't totally recommend it. I'm not loving it. I'm 7 episodes in. I have the 7th one and the 8th one to watch. I believe that it's just not my type of TV show. Honestly, I think that there are people out there who would absolutely love it, but those people just aren't me. So give it a try if you're really interested in it, but just know that the trailer is not a good representation of what it is. And then what am I listening to right now? One of the musicians that I really like, his name is Maeson, I believe that's how it's pronounced. He just released an album of all of his songs, but the stripped versions. So it's almost like acoustic, but it's not acoustic. It's more like, it's just less. It's softer and cleaner, and it's not the acoustic because the instruments are still electric, but it's just not as strong as the original songs, and I absolutely love it, love it, love it. So I believe it's called Bank on the Funeral Stripped, and highly recommend. There's not one bad song on there. Of course, to be fair, I think I didn't save all of the songs, but anyways, I liked all of them. So hopefully you guys don't mind me doing these little recommendations at the end of my videos, at least these longer videos. And I would like to thank you all for watching. Please give this a like if you liked it. Check back in next week because I hope to be doing more videos every single week, and hopefully I will be able to talk with you guys again soon. Leave a comment down below if there's anything you'd like me to talk about in one of these sketch and chat videos, and I hope you have a good week, and please wish me luck starting my new job. I'm so excited to be doing it, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. Hopefully next week I can give some time up in one of my videos to talk to you guys about it and how it goes. So anyways, have a good day. I'll see you all soon. Bye.